Good afternoon, John Donovan.
Hey, Marty Keller.
My my good friend and mentor, John Donovan, in Oceanside, California. Marty Keller here in Sacramento, California. And welcome to the Intentional Living podcast. John and I have been sharing some thoughts over the past 5 years or so about how do we break patterns of behavior that continue to recur in spite of our desire not to have them show up. So,
Correct.
how many times have any of us felt or had a thought, we're engaging doing something and it flashes in our mind saying, I don't need to do this, stop it. And we keep doing it anyway. Or how many times have you decided that you need to be doing something and you just don't do it? You don't pick it up at all. And so, what we do here in the Intentional Living podcast is we look at how to understand and demystify these behaviors that mystify us. And more importantly, we talk about alternatives. How do we create behaviors that we want? How do we create
Yeah.
states of being that are conducive to who we want to be in our present moment lives as adults? And we know that most of the disconnection comes just because of what happened to us as little kids before we had a conscious choice. We didn't have any ability to make things happen through will.
Right.
In fact, for the first 4 to 5 years of our lives, we weren't conscious at all. We were utterly reacting to the environment around us. And
Yeah.
last week we talked about why are we doing this? And we recognize that many of us, if not all of us, get involved in this recovery practice, whether it's through 12 steps or through intentional living or other practices that are available. Um, we often do it just to get relief from internal psychological suffering and pain. John, you talked about uh, the incessant self-critical voice, continually
hmm
the voice that won't stop putting you down, and then when that's not enough, putting other people down.
Right.
Um, I talked about the voice of catastrophizing, the voice that said terrible things are going to happen, and there's nothing you can do about it, and so living in states of terror and which generate stress, et cetera, et cetera. And you talked last week about how you moved from that being your first goal, which is, I said, is a goal for most of us, into something much more creative and something much more um, willful, based on what you want. And that is essentially how the intentional living practice got started. And so I wanted to explore that further this week because you ended the podcast last week talking about um, learning to love. Learning, the term you used was unconditional love. That when we do this work without blame or judgment, when we generate a blame-free and a judgment-free environment, we're actually generating unconditional love. And when
Yeah.
you said that, that put me in mind of something that my favorite therapist, I've had many therapists over the course of my life, but my favorite one said to me the first time we sat down to do work together, she said, "It's important to recognize that there's one thing every human being has in common. Every human being." I said, "What's that?" Like, well, this I'm getting the mystical answer here. And she goes, "We all just want to be loved. We
Yeah.
all just want to be loved." And it's interesting as we do this accountability practice, a lot of the challenge that we have starts out because when we come into this world, we just want to be loved. And whatever it is that we encounter, which we as adults might label violent or harmful, we don't know that as little kids. And so
No.
we actually connect to that as if it's love.
Right.
And then we grow up in our lives and we replicate that and we look for love in all the wrong places, or we look for quote love in all the wrong places because we didn't know that when our parents put us down, made fun of us, told us to scram, or worse, ignored us. We didn't know that that wasn't loving.
Right.
That came into us as the experience because all human beings just want to be loved. That's what we're seeking.
hmm
So I think as I thought about the conversation that we had last week, that uh, the real reason I'm in this work is I want to learn to love, be loved, and be loving.
Yep.
Given that
Yep.
I grew up in an environment, and you have an exercise that you've generated, maybe we can talk a little bit about that. That you use, it's called love equals, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
a way for us to figure out what do we have love confused with. I have love equaling what? And I had love equals I'm all alone. Nobody's going to help me. Don't ask for help. You're not going to get it. And so what I found once I identified that through the work with you that I've done over the course of the years, I looked at my life and I saw the pattern of isolation. Uh, I can take care of everything myself. I don't need you. I don't need any
Right.
help. And it's like, damn, how did how did John know that? And so let's talk a little bit today, and let's, I'd like your thoughts about, the only thing we really want is to be loved and learning to actually generate a world of love and compassion.
Yeah. Uh, um, I knew that my parents loved me. Now, the way they treated me early in my recovery, and this is, I'm uncovering a lot of things that happened that I saw as normal and then saw or reframed to go, oh, that was traumatizing to me, or that was shocking to me, or it shocked my system, or it gave me a concept of myself and how I relate. Um, I did this love equals exercise. I actually had it happen to me um, that I discovered in my marriage that I had love mixed up with some type of rejection or you're not enough. And as I was in an argument with my wife, and it's one of those kind of arguments where spit's coming out of both your mouths. It's like, ah. And then she said, John, you want me to call you crazy. Of course, I responded with, that's crazy. That would be crazy. I don't want you to call me crazy. And we started arguing some more. And then she said, well, here it is. Okay, I've had enough. You're crazy. And Marty, a little voice in my head said, see, told you. I, 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 I got it. First, I didn't know why. I, I got it at that moment. I was acting crazy. She would say something and I'd be tangential on it was crazy. So she left. And I was 10 years sober at the time. So I had enough. I, well, actually, I got mad at God. I don't know what's going on. Screw this recovery bullshit. This is crazy. This hurts. I need some answers. Or, you know what? I'm going to go get hammered. I'm going to go to the Stockman's Club, which was right around the corner, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to get hammered. Screw this recovery stuff. So I had enough wherewithal to go lay down, just put on some music. And I'm breathing and thinking about this. And with the thought that came up to me, what does the 12-step program tell you to do? Forgive them. So I'll do the noble thing. I'll forgive her. So I'm in my meditation and I had created a safe place where all my invisible means of support, I felt safe. And I said, I forgive her. And all my invisible means of support started laughing. Like like I had said something funny. And I'm thinking, that's not funny. What the hell are you laughing at? That's what you tell me to do. I'm doing it and you think it's funny. So then the thought came to me, John, you had love mixed up with rejection. And when that thought hit me, it's like you said, my whole life made sense. Who I was with, who I wasn't with, the jobs I took, the jobs I didn't take, how I performed in school. I didn't graduate. When I left college to go into the service, I had a 1.77 average, grade point average. That so I got that, and something just washed through me. It's like that what I experience in the accountability tree when I find the truth, my truth, and everything made sense. And I then the next thought was, what do you want it to be instead of rejection? I thought acceptance. So I heard myself think to me now, love equals acceptance. Now, that's not all that love is, but it's a whole lot better than rejection. And when I said that, something shifted. I went outside and I went by this half wine barrel of little flowers, and they were little, I don't know, about half-inch flowers, but they were in like a umbrella. And I couldn't believe how brilliant they were, and how when I looked at them, it was like I could see, hear, taste, touch, smell them all at the same time. It was all happening all at the same time. And I said, so my filter, because I knew about the reticular activating, I filter things to match my idea of myself, didn't allow me to see that beauty. If I have love but accept rejection, how could I see beauty? I became discerning about the people I talked to and how I spoke to them. It was a major shift. So I created an exercise where I get somebody that wants to, I explain it just like I did now. And I say, I will take you through that exercise. And then I asked them a couple questions, three questions actually. Current reality, separated, going to 12 step or going to some recovery place. My finances are in the toilet, or I'm always in debt, whatever it may be. And then I say, what was your relationship with your mother from 1 to 7? And they generally look at me and go, it was good. And we don't remember a whole lot, 1 to 4 or so. Don't remember anything actually. But we had a feeling. And I said, well, what were some of the things she said? Then I'd ask, after we got done with the mother, I'd ask about the father. What was your relationship with your father? How did he speak to you? What did you hear him say? What did he do? What did she do? And all this codependency, abandonment, like, well, when I was 6, they got divorced. Oh, what? That's traumatic. I don't care how old you are. Even for them, it's traumatic. So you stuff that in there and you got, okay, if somebody is in love, be careful to separate. So I listen to them, and then I'll say a litany of words like rejection, abandonment, conditional, produce. If you didn't be good, they wouldn't love you. If you be bad, then they didn't like you, punish you. And we figure out what it means to them. And love equals abandonment. Love equals I'm a burden. And I say whatever we get, when we get it, does your whole life make sense? And it does. It's like love equals I'm a burden. Oh, when I was at that job, I messed up. I got fired when I was in this relationship. She left after a while, and it was all under this looking to recreate what we thought love was as in our childhood and our adult life. That's what I did. See, I was born into, if emotion, I believe emotions have weight. There's substance to them. There's frequency to them. There's feeling to them. So they have weight. So in this analogy, metaphor, I was born into a barometric pressure with the absence of acceptance. My mom wanted a girl. My dad wanted a white baby. Neither one of them got what they wanted. So I love you, John, without acceptance. So, oh, cool, I'm loved. So I grew up, I would walk into a room of 100 women and I would pick the one that thought I needed to improve the most. And I'm in love. I got this chemistry going. She's got this chemistry going because whatever her love is, I'm matching hers too. And we have this, 6 month, oh my God, this is great. You're beautiful. I'm beautiful. We're perfect. And then reality hits and they're, oh, wait a minute. Who are you? It's like, I didn't sign up for this. I don't know who you are right now, but that's not the person I saw when I first met you. And this love equals exercise makes perfect sense out of that dynamic or that pattern. Um,
Well, I've been
um,
on that merry-go-round myself, so I know exactly what you say. That idea that I can walk into the room and
yep.
without without thinking about it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
without thinking
It's
about it,
chemistry.
find the exact wrong person
Yeah.
or the
Exactly.
exact right
Perfect.
person for
Wrong
that love
person.
equals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's do this
So,
in the remaining time that we have. Let's talk about what genuine love is. Let's talk about that, what we
okay.
missed as little kids, and what can we do about it as adults.
Okay. I'm going to share screen. I'm going to bring the board up. Hold on 1 second. Oh, okay. In there's a lot of information on the board. I'm going to focus on the accountability tree, and I'm going to use my grandson as an example. My grandson right now is 9 years old, and I've been with him since he was born. If he has a moment where he's feeling frustration or he's in a tantrum, I don't punish him. I mirror. I see you're upset. I see you're frustrated. I see you're angry, and I validate whatever he's going through. And it could be he wanted two cookies instead of I only gave him one. I want two. No, just one. And then like, I don't like you. You always do this. Okay, I see you're frustrated. I didn't punish him. I didn't chastise him. I didn't tell him he was wrong. He was experiencing frustration, anger, like it's not fair, which it wasn't. There's a whole jar full of them. It was like overflowing, and he only got one. That doesn't make any sense to that little kid. Instead of punishing him, I would say, I see you're frustrated, and you're only getting one right now. And he would go on, and I wouldn't punish him. I would I would be firm with asking him what other, and I didn't do this when he was real little. I asked him now, what other option do you have? What else can you do besides what you're doing right now? To give him options. And in this process, see this accountability tree? When I say my truth, like the last time, I'm violent, I just hear myself. I don't judge it. I don't punish it. I don't reframe it. I don't try to get rid of it. So I'm giving what I give my grandson, which is love in the situation, in the reality of where he's at, unconditional. That's what I give to myself. I'm violent.
So
Can I
you're
speak
you're
directly?
you're mirroring yourself.
Yes. So in the Adult Children of Alcoholics Anonymous 12 step, they talk about loving parent. And I heard loving parent, loving, be your loving parent. And I'm thinking, how do you do that? How do you do that? It's like, I couldn't, either I couldn't hear it or I didn't see it. Now, when I do this, that's my experience of loving self, that parental guide person and critical turns from critical to, oh, I see. Wow, that must hurt. That must be frustrating. Now, those words don't come to me, but the feeling of that, and whatever I say, I can now experience the impact of it. It's like, oh, and it all happens in this emotional, what I call constellation of sorting out complex post-traumatic stress. That's what it says right here in the middle. Display, which is on my character defects. So I own a character defect. I'm violent. That emotion right there happens. I could notice it. I don't necessarily have to notice it. That emotion in this truth is equal to or greater than what's stored in that subconscious. So Peter Levine has somatic experiencing, and he works with infants and little children, and he recreates the trauma moment, and then soothes, and then attends, then nurtures, and then picks up, so that that old energy that got stuck in there has a way out. It's relieved. That's what I'm giving to myself. I'm allowing this trauma to be felt. I can know the details. I do not have to know the details. It's a feeling tone. And in that unconditionally blame-free, judgment-free zone, really, and it's like I call it a sloughing. It's like my shoulders relax, my gut is like not tense, and then I go based on this process. I go in that space, which is a raise in awareness. It's a, and I don't have to have a thought that goes with it. The frequency rises. The truth hurts. Two things about the truth. The truth hurts. Me admitting that I'm violent was painful. That same truth creates freedom. And I got that at the bottom of the tree. So in that, I want to call it enlightenment or blame-free, unconditional zone. I say, what do I want to change that to? I intend to be kind. In that built up emotional place, and my subconscious hears that as now that's what we're going to do, instead of trying to keep people away, which created the violence or the meanness or the alcoholism or the workaholic, all the stuff that it created to isolate me so I didn't have to feel close to anybody. Because when I got close to people, guess what? They rejected me. And I would do it my best to be everything that I thought they wanted me to be, which was lying to them. I've got my down points. I got my peculiarities. I got my things I do awkwardly, quirks. That's me though. That's my grandson. He's got this thing where um, if his clothes, they say that hurts my skin. It's like, dude, it's a t-shirt. I don't say that. I go, oh, okay. What do you want to do? I want to change my shirt. Okay. I don't say no. It doesn't hurt your skin. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't refer. I say okay. You can go get another one if you want. And he does it. That's his little quirk. He's got sensitive skin. Okay. And I don't make him do something well, I do make him do things he doesn't want to do, like go with me to the store or whatever. But I do it in a way that's gentle and affirming and out of the discipline, punishing, accusation place, just firm and loving and nurturing for where he's at. Now that he's 9, he's a little bit more capable of hearing different things and feedback. And wait a minute, check out stuff. When you put your hands on somebody without their permission, that is not okay. That's I want you to think about that. So, all right, you got any feedback from me
Yeah,
right now?
so one of the things that I work on when I'm facilitating groups is um, because what I learned from you, and we've discussed this on this podcast many times, is that the doorway to what I want goes through my feeling body.
Yes.
And so when I work with people and they get to the what do I want, and they'll often say something like, I want to be loved. And I'd say, okay, what's the feeling of loved? How do you know you're being loved? And we actually work on identifying how does my body feel when someone's loving me? And it's a real revelation because it's something that we were so deprived of as children, going referring to your love equals exercise, that many people struggle with this one.
Yeah.
And so I would often say, imagine your little 4-year-old self sitting next to you on a couch,
There you go.
and the
Yes.
little 4-year-old self is asking to be loved. How would you treat him or her?
Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
And and if you were that 4-year-old, how would that feel? And then
Yeah.
we finally get to, I feel happy, I feel at
Hmm.
ease, I feel excited, I feel light,
Hmm.
I feel safe.
Yeah. Safe.
So
That's a big one.
one of the, I just raised this because, again, for us in recovery, it's really elementary to get to the feeling tone. And so I was working with one person, and as a result of going through that question, it's like, how would it feel? She came up with, I intend to treat myself with exquisite tenderness. And
Wow.
that's, and she said, I don't know what that means, but that's what I want.
That's what I want.
And
Exactly.
as we've said many times here on this podcast, we don't have to know what it means. The universe knows what it means.
Yep.
Our embedded wisdom as a human being knows what it means.
Yes.
But what we're doing here is that we're making it explicit. We're making it conscious.
Yes.
And as you said many times, I intend to treat myself with exquisite tenderness, then goes back into my subconscious. It's conscious now. I said it out loud, and then it goes
Hmm.
back into my subconscious where it starts to look for opportunities to experience exquisite tenderness.
Yep.
And as we've also discussed many times, it usually starts out with, I notice when I'm doing the opposite. I'm treating myself with exquisite nastiness.
Which is a good awareness because
Exactly.
in that, oh, I'm that, oh, I'm nasty to, oh, them, oh, we got another thing to take to the tree. I'm nasty to myself, nasty, but oh, yeah, I intend to hold myself in high. Yes, and it just is over and over and over and over.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So we started out this podcast as we're coming to our end of our time together, saying last week we looked at why are we doing recovery, and we came to the awareness this week that I'm doing recovery because I want to experience genuine love, and I want to exude it. I want to be it. In fact, I have been working for the past 6 months. I may have shared this on the podcast before. This is my intention. I intend to experience love coming at me from every direction, inside and out, 24/7.
wow.
And I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. We'll,
Intellectually, I actually get that I live in a field of love,
yeah.
but I
Yeah.
don't always feel it that way. And so my
Right.
intention is to feel it.
Yeah.
And I never, so you said last week, that this practice has led you to a life you had no conception, no idea that was possible when you
Correct.
first started out. And I suggest that's still true. As happy as I am today from doing the accountability practice, I still think there's more
Yep.
that I still am unaware of, and I intend to discover it.
Yes. Me too. Me too, Marty.
So, any last minute thoughts before we wrap up?
Um, come to a one of our four groups. You can, if you haven't been, you can blank your screen, put yourself on mute. You don't have to say anything. Just watch, listen, observe what we do, And then after the meeting, you've observed if you see anything, any value whatsoever, come back, come back, and we'll see where it goes.
It's you remind me of what we often say in our 12-step meetings at the very end. Keep coming back, it works.
Yeah, yeah,
So as John's alluding, we have group meetings where we work through this in a practical way. Like, you want to learn to experience love in your life? Come to one of our meetings, and we have 4 meetings a week. They're all on Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. There's one for you, and the time and dates or days and the Zoom addresses are all will all be posted at the end of the podcast. So please feel free to check it out and come join us. And with that, John, we thank you very much for your time and look forward
yeah.
to seeing you on the next one.
You got it, Marty. Thank you.
Take care.
Uh-huh.